About the case was. The case was is your space to explore real-world business events, decode disruptions, and uncover timeless management insights. Our mission: build critical thinking, scenario analysis, strategic perspective, and sound decision-making, the foundations of leadership excellence. Each video presents a case from current business reality, distilled into clear narratives and linked to proven management frameworks. Whether you're a student, teacher, manager, entrepreneur, or thought leader, the case was helps you analyze, reflect, and stay ahead with actionable insights. Here, business is not just studied, it's experienced, questioned, and reimagined. Join our community where every case holds a verse, and every verse shapes the future of business. About the case I H-Oberoi Hotels and the exit from the UAE market. Courses for discussion. The case is suitable for use in the subjects of marketing management, business strategy, new markets, international marketing. Target audience. The case has been designed for audience encompassing MBA students, management scholars, marketing and strategy enthusiasts, hospitality sector professions and students, entrepreneurs, business leaders, strategic thinkers, teachers and researchers in business management. Case domains. This case encompasses the domains of marketing, strategy, competition. Theoretical lens framework applied. This case leverages integration responsiveness framework, market entry and exit strategy analysis. The said frameworks can be used to analyze and interpret the scenario. Learning goals. By working through this case, participants will be able to understand market entry and exit decisions, evaluate why companies enter specific international markets, and the conditions that may trigger an exit, assess entry modes, management contract, joint venture, ownership, franchising, and their implications in hospitality. Apply the integration responsiveness framework. Examine the balance between global standardization, integration, and local responsiveness, adaptation in luxury hospitality. Analyze how cultural preferences, customer behavior, and owner expectations shape strategic positioning. Critically assess partnership dynamics. Understand the challenges of operator-owner relationships in hotel management contracts. Explore how misalignment in goals affects long-term sustainability. Develop strategic insights for global hospitality. Recommend strategies for aligning brand identity with regional consumer expectations. Evaluate whether exit is a sign of failure or a rational strategic choice. For a free copy of teaching note for this case, mail at thecasewas1@gmail.com. Introduction. In 2024, I H-Oberoi Hotels, a flagship of the Oberoi Group, surprised the hospitality sector by announcing its decision to withdraw from the United Arab Emirates market. The announcement followed the termination of its management contract with Zorah Development Private Co. Limited, the property owner of the Oberoi Beach Resort, Zorah, in Ajman. This move marked the end of Oberoi's operational presence in a region where luxury hotels from global brands continue to expand aggressively. The case offers an opportunity to examine the forces that shape the entry and exit strategies of international hospitality companies. It highlights how luxury hotel chains weigh global consistency against local adaptation, and how exit decisions are not merely financial but also reputational, strategic, and cultural. Background: the Oberoi Group. Founded in 1934, the Oberoi Group has built a global reputation for offering personalized luxury experiences, consistently ranking among the top hotel brands in customer service and elegance. Its properties span India, Southeast Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. Unlike chains that expand rapidly through franchising, Oberoi has traditionally relied on selective growth, emphasizing management contracts rather than asset-heavy ownership. Its entry into the UAE in 2017 through the Oberoi Beach Resort, Zorah, was strategic. The property, located in Ajman, was developed as part of a broader push to diversify Oberoi's footprint beyond India and position the brand within one of the world's most competitive luxury hospitality hubs, the UAE luxury hospitality market. The United Arab Emirates has emerged over the last 2 decades as one of the world's most prominent luxury hospitality hubs, attracting both global hotel operators and discerning international travelers. Tourism contributes more than 12% to the UAE's GDP, and in 2023 alone the country welcomed over 28 million international visitors, driven by Dubai's global connectivity, mega events, and year-round lifestyle attractions. Luxury hotels form a critical part of this ecosystem, with more than 750 five-star properties spread across Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, and the Northern Emirates. The market is highly competitive, with global names such as Marriott, Hilton, Accor, and Hyatt expanding aggressively, alongside regional champions like Jumeirah Hotels and Rotana. The nature of demand is complex and segmented. On one side, Dubai caters to global leisure travelers, drawing to high-end shopping, entertainment, and beach resorts, while Abu Dhabi benefits from government-backed cultural projects such as the Louvre Abu Dhabi and Guggenheim Museum alongside Formula One events. Ajman and Ras Al Khaimah have positioned themselves as quieter alternatives, promoting pristine beaches and emerging ecotourism destinations. The customer base is highly diverse, spanning European leisure tourists, GCC families seeking weekend getaways, Russian vacationers, Chinese tour groups, and Indian expatriates and business travelers. This diversity creates opportunities, but also requires a nuanced understanding of service expectations, food and beverage preferences, and leisure offerings. Cultural expectations in the Gulf add another layer of complexity. Guests often look for expansive family-friendly villas, halal-compliant dining options, and a combination of privacy with access to extravagant facilities. Entertainment-driven luxury is increasingly in demand, with hotels investing heavily in beach clubs, celebrity chef restaurants, integrated malls, and nightlife offerings. The bigger is better ethos resonates strongly in the UAE, with properties such as Atlantis the Palm or the Burj Al Arab symbolizing the scale of opulence expected by many visitors. In such an environment, brands that rely solely on minimalism or understated elegance risk being overshadowed by competitors offering a broader, more flamboyant luxury experience. The structural model of hotel ownership also influences how foreign operators navigate the market. In the UAE, most hotels are owned by local real estate developers or sovereign-backed investment companies, with international brands operating under long-term management contracts. This means that financial outcomes, marketing strategies, and design decisions are often shaped jointly, requiring strong alignment between owner and operator. Property owners in the region generally seek rapid and visible returns, prioritizing occupancy rates, event hosting, and destination branding, while operators may emphasize long-term brand consistency and service quality. When these priorities diverge, tensions emerge, affecting the sustainability of partnerships. Despite its dynamism, the UAE market is also prone to volatility. Oversupply remains a recurring concern, with Dubai alone hosting more than 150,000 hotel rooms, leading to fluctuating occupancy rates during off-peak periods. The COVID-19 pandemic further exposed vulnerabilities, as international arrivals plummeted in 2020 and 2021 before recovering sharply in 2022. While the market has demonstrated resilience, profitability margins remain under pressure due to high operating costs, rising wage demands for expatriate staff, and the capital-intensive nature of maintaining luxury facilities. For an operator like Oberoi, entering such an environment required balancing its global service ethos with the hyper-competitive, rapidly evolving landscape of the Gulf. Entry into the UAE. When the Oberoi Beach Resort opened in Zorah, Ajman in April 2017, it was positioned as the Oberoi Group's flagship entry into the Gulf. The UAE was then experiencing one of its strongest phases of tourism-led growth, with Dubai welcoming a record 16 million international visitors that year and Abu Dhabi surpassing 4.8 million. Ajman, though smaller in scale, was being actively promoted by the government as an alternative destination for travelers seeking tranquility, natural reserves, and more private leisure options. The Zorah development itself was a $1 billion master-planned coastal project led by Solidia International and the government of Ajman, designed to transform the emirate into a high-end residential and tourism hub with golf courses, marinas, and beachfront properties. The Oberoi Group's decision to establish its presence in Ajman rather than Dubai or Abu Dhabi reflected both opportunity and positioning. Dubai's market was already saturated with more than 100,000 hotel rooms at the time, dominated by global chains and iconic developments like Atlantis the Palm and Burj Al Arab. By entering Ajman, Oberoi sought to differentiate itself in a less crowded segment, where its philosophy of understated luxury, expansive villas, and curated exclusivity could stand out. The resort featured 89 rooms, suites, and private pool villas, along with over 85% of its rooms offering direct ocean views, reflecting a design emphasis on privacy and openness rather than scale and spectacle. The choice of entry mode also followed Oberoi's asset-light global expansion strategy. Rather than owning the property, it signed a long-term management agreement with the Zorah Development Company, ensuring brand presence without committing large capital resources. This mirrored how many international operators approached the Gulf, as local owners typically financed development, while global brands supplied management expertise and brand equity. For Oberoi, this arrangement limited financial exposure but created dependence on the property owner's investment and marketing approach. The timing of entry was also significant. The UAE was preparing to host Expo 2020 in Dubai, a mega event expected to attract 25 million visitors and elevate the entire region's tourism profile. International arrivals were rising annually by 5 to 7%, and luxury hospitality was one of the fastest growing segments, buoyed by increasing demand from China, India, and the wider Middle East. By placing itself in Ajman, Oberoi hoped to tap into this rising tide while carving out a niche away from the hyper-competitive Dubai landscape. Industry observers at the time saw the opening as a bold statement that Oberoi was ready to play on the global stage beyond its Indian stronghold. The challenges. Despite the optimism that surrounded the opening of the Oberoi Beach Resort in Ajman, sustaining performance in the years that followed proved increasingly difficult. One of the most pressing challenges was the sheer scale of competition across the UAE. By 2019, Dubai alone accounted for more than 120,000 hotel rooms, with occupancy rates consistently averaging above 76%, compared with Ajman's more modest 65%. Dubai's global positioning as a hub for business, shopping, and large-scale entertainment made it the primary choice for most international visitors, while Ajman remained reliant on a smaller flow of regional tourists, and those seeking quieter alternatives. This disparity in visibility and demand meant that Oberoi's Ajman property struggled to achieve the same brand recognition as its Dubai counterparts. Another difficulty arose from the mismatch between Oberoi's brand philosophy and regional expectations of luxury. The Oberoi experience, built on discretion, minimalism, and personalized service, resonated strongly in markets such as India, Bali, or Morocco, where exclusivity was defined by serenity and attention to detail. In the UAE, however, luxury was increasingly associated with scale, variety, and extravagance. Hotels such as Atlantis the Palm offered integrated entertainment complexes with aquariums, water parks, celebrity restaurants, and nightlife, while Jumeirah's Burj Al Arab became synonymous with theatrical opulence. Oberoi's more understated positioning, with just 89 rooms and a focus on tranquility, appealed to a niche clientele but struggled to capture the broader market that sought spectacle alongside service. Partnership dynamics also complicated operations. The resort was owned by Zorah Development Company, a joint venture between the government of Ajman and Solidaire International. As with most UAE properties, the operator's success depended heavily on the property owner's financial commitment, marketing strategies, and long-term vision. While Oberoi was committed to building a consistent brand presence and service ethos, the ownership's priorities leaned toward faster visibility, higher occupancy, and alignment with Ajman's destination branding efforts. The difference in strategic horizons often created friction, particularly when occupancy underperformed relative to regional benchmarks. In such contexts, international operators found themselves navigating delicate relationships where financial expectations and brand-driven approaches did not always converge. The external environment further amplified these pressures. The oversupply of hotel rooms across the UAE led to price competition, particularly during off-peak months when average daily rates in Dubai and Abu Dhabi had already begun to soften by 2018. Ajman, lacking the global pull of its larger neighbors, was even more vulnerable to discount-driven competition, which risked diluting the Oberoi brand's positioning if pursued aggressively. The onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 added another layer of strain, with international arrivals to the UAE dropping by nearly 70% that year. While Dubai rebounded quickly thanks to Expo 2020 and aggressive global marketing campaigns, Ajman's recovery was slower, leaving Oberoi's resort in a more precarious situation. By the time the market began to stabilize in 2022 and 2023, it was clear that the Ajman property had not captured the scale of customer traction that Oberoi had anticipated. Its reliance on a narrow niche of travelers, combined with persistent underperformance compared to the high occupancy and revenue per available room levels seen in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, underscored the structural challenges of sustaining its position. The gap between the brand's understated luxury model and the region's appetite for flamboyant hospitality, along with ongoing differences in strategic priorities with its ownership partner, ultimately created a situation where exit became more practical than persistence. By early 2024, it became increasingly apparent that the Oberoi Beach Resort, Zorah, was not delivering the financial or strategic outcomes envisioned at the time of its launch. Industry data showed that while Dubai's luxury hotels were maintaining average occupancy rates of over 75% and a revenue per available room (RevPAR) approaching AED 700, Ajman's properties were operating at significantly lower averages, with occupancy hovering around 60% and RevPAR closer to AED 350. Although the Oberoi brand carried strong global recognition, the property's relative isolation and Ajman's limited draw as a mainstream destination made it difficult to compete for international traffic in the same league as its Dubai and Abu Dhabi peers. Reports from regional hospitality analysts suggested that Oberoi's difficulties were compounded by the structural realities of management contracts in the UAE. Property owners, in this case Zorah Development Company, often expect aggressive marketing campaigns, swift returns on investment, and active alignment with Emirate-level tourism initiatives. For an operator like Oberoi, whose ethos emphasized long-term brand building and carefully cultivated service standards, reconciling these expectations proved challenging. While both parties maintained professional cooperation, differences in strategic orientation became more visible as the property lagged behind in performance benchmarks. The financial strain was further exacerbated by the lingering effects of the pandemic. Even as Dubai experienced a sharp rebound in 2022, fueled by Expo 2020 and a return of international air traffic through Emirates Airlines, Ajman struggled to capture a proportional share of the recovery. Visitor arrivals to Ajman peaked at under 1 million in 2023, a modest figure when compared to Dubai's nearly 18 million during the same period. For a property designed as a flagship of exclusivity, this narrower tourism base limited growth opportunities and made year-round occupancy targets harder to sustain. The decision to terminate the partnership was formally announced in early 2024, framed as a mutual and orderly conclusion rather than an abrupt withdrawal. Industry observers interpreted the exit as a pragmatic step rather than a retreat. By withdrawing from an underperforming property, Oberoi avoided the risk of diluting its brand equity through discounting or overextension. The move also aligned with its broader international strategy of selective expansion, ensuring that capital and managerial resources could be redirected toward markets where understated luxury resonated more naturally with customer expectations, such as Morocco, Bali, or select European leisure destinations. While some analysts describe the exit as a setback in establishing a sustained presence in the Gulf, others argued it reflected strategic clarity. Exiting Ajman allowed Oberoi to preserve its premium positioning while leaving open the possibility of a future re-entry into the UAE through Dubai or Abu Dhabi, markets more attuned to high-profile international branding. In this sense, the decision illustrated not just the costs of operating in a misaligned market, but also the discipline required to step back before reputational or financial erosion set in. Strategic lessons. The decision of Oberoi Hotels to withdraw from the UAE underscores several enduring lessons for global hospitality operators navigating complex international markets. One of the most evident is the importance of carefully selecting entry points within a region. While Ajman presented itself as an emerging tourism hub backed by ambitious government-led development projects, the Emirate continued to attract less than 5% of the UAE's total international visitors even by 2023. By contrast, Dubai drew nearly 65% of arrivals and Abu Dhabi around 20%, cementing their positions as the country's primary international gateways. Choosing Ajman as a launchpad created a structural handicap, as the destination lacked the established tourism ecosystem, global airline connectivity, and branding power that neighboring cities enjoyed. Another lesson lies in the balance between maintaining brand identity and adapting to local expectations. Oberoi's core philosophy of understated luxury and personalized service has consistently won global acclaim, ranking the brand among the world's best in surveys by Travel Plus Leisure and Condé Nast Traveler. Yet in the Gulf, customer expectations tilt towards scale, theatricality, and entertainment-driven hospitality. Competing hotels in Dubai often integrated retail, nightlife, and water-based attractions into their offerings, with properties like Atlantis the Palm welcoming over 1.5 million visitors annually to its water park alone. Against this backdrop, Oberoi's quiet elegance resonated with a niche clientele, but failed to capture the wider base of regional and international visitors. The challenge highlights the necessity of recalibrating offerings in markets where the definition of luxury diverges sharply from a brand's traditional formula. Equally significant is the lesson on partnership dynamics. The asset-light model of management contracts provides operators with expansion opportunities while limiting capital risk, but it also places a premium on alignment between brand custodians and property owners. In the case of Zorah, the development's broader vision for Ajman included aggressive destination marketing, residential real estate sales, and large-scale event hosting, priorities that did not always mesh seamlessly with Oberoi's slower, brand-led approach. This mismatch illustrates how even in high-growth markets, a lack of strategic alignment can constrain a hotel's ability to perform irrespective of service quality. For operators, due diligence in assessing not just the location, but also the long-term orientation of partners is as critical as evaluating customer demand. The final and perhaps most important lesson is the strategic value of knowing when to exit. In the hospitality industry, exit decisions often carry reputational risk, yet persistence in a misaligned venture can be costlier over time. By leaving the UAE market in an orderly fashion, Oberoi avoided overextension and safeguarded its global reputation for consistency in service excellence. It also freed resources for investment in markets where demand patterns and cultural expectations align more closely with the brand's DNA, such as Morocco, where tourism arrivals crossed 14 million in 2023, or Bali, which remains a global benchmark for understated luxury retreats. Rather than being seen as a retreat, the move can be interpreted as an assertion of strategic clarity, reaffirming Oberoi's commitment to selective growth in destinations where its unique brand of hospitality can flourish. The Oberoi exit from the UAE provides a lens into the broader realities of global hospitality, where even established luxury brands must constantly navigate the interplay between global identity and local adaptation. The Middle East remains one of the fastest growing regions for high-end tourism, with Dubai alone accounting for nearly 14% of the world's luxury hotel pipeline in 2023, according to STR Global. Yet the very scale of opportunity creates conditions of oversupply and fierce competition, with more than 40 new luxury properties scheduled to open in the Gulf by 2026. For operators, this raises the stakes. Entering such a saturated environment requires not just brand equity, but also willingness to tailor offerings to meet the regional appetite for scale and integrated experiences. At the same time, the Gulf demonstrates how regional dynamics can shape the definition of luxury in ways that diverge from other markets. In Southeast Asia, exclusivity is often tied to eco-sensitive resorts and intimate villas, while in Europe luxury is deeply connected with heritage, gastronomy, and design. In contrast, the Middle East rewards brands that embrace spectacle. Resorts with indoor ski slopes, mega aquariums, and integrated entertainment complexes routinely attract global attention and footfall. International operators that underestimate these preferences risk positioning themselves on the margins, as Oberoi's Ajman experience illustrates. The case reinforces the need for global hospitality players to not only replicate their strengths, but to reinterpret them for different cultural and market contexts. The structural dynamics of ownership and management further complicate expansion strategies. Across the Gulf, more than 80% of luxury hotels are developed and owned by local real estate firms or sovereign-backed entities, with international brands brought in under management contracts. While this model facilitates rapid expansion, it also creates potential tension when the financial expectations of owners seeking quick returns diverge from operators prioritizing long-term brand building. The growing number of contract renegotiations and terminations across the region, Marriott, Hilton, and Accor, have each seen properties change hands in recent years, highlights that Oberoi's experience is part of a broader industry challenge. The implications extend beyond the Gulf. As global travel continues to grow, reaching over 1.3 billion international arrivals in 2023, according to Anvuto, international hospitality companies must make sharper choices about where and how to expand. Selectivity is increasingly valued over ubiquity, with brands focusing on fewer but stronger destinations where their identity resonates with consumer demand. Exit decisions, once seen as damaging, are being reframed as strategic recalibrations, ensuring that resources are concentrated on markets with higher alignment and growth potential. For Oberoi, this meant withdrawing from Ajman to preserve its premium positioning globally, but for other operators the lesson is equally relevant. Success in international hospitality depends as much on the courage to step back as on the ambition to grow. What next for Oberoi? Post-exit, Oberoi continues to expand selectively in other international markets, focusing on destinations where its understated luxury finds natural resonance, such as Morocco, Bali, and select European cities. The UAE experience may serve as a reminder that not all global gateways align with the group's DNA. While competitors build ever larger hotels in Dubai, Oberoi may carve its niche in markets where quiet exclusivity is more appreciated. Yet the Gulf remains too important to ignore entirely. Observers speculate that Oberoi might return someday, but perhaps through Dubai or Abu Dhabi, with a property that balances its service excellence with the region's appetite for grandeur. Conclusion. The case of I H-Oberoi Hotels' entry and exit in the UAE illustrates the delicate interplay between ambition and adaptation. Entering a global hotspot requires more than brand confidence. It demands acute sensitivity to local market dynamics, owner expectations, and customer preferences. Equally, the courage to withdraw reflects strategic clarity. Sometimes the best move in global hospitality is not to persist, but to realign. About the case author. Dr. KBS Kumar is an award-winning management author and educator with over 100 published case studies across business domains and more than 20 international accolades in case writing. A seasoned trainer and mentor, he has guided corporate leaders, academics, and students in mastering case writing and case-based learning, blending academic rigor with practical insights. Through the case verse, Dr. Kumar transforms real-world business events into engaging case studies, powerful resources for classrooms, corporate training, managerial development, and strategic thinking. Passionate about nurturing critical and analytical skills, his work bridges theory and practice, offering timeless lessons for navigating today's complex business world.